During the earthquake, I pulled back Olivia, who wanted to rush in and save someone she cared about. As a result, I broke a leg. Later, on our wedding day, that boy jumped off a building because his face was disfigured. Olivia said nothing, taking care of me for decades as I underwent rehabilitation with my injured leg. On our 10th anniversary, she pushed me, the disabled, into the middle of the road. Before she walked away, she asked, "Alex, do you understand what it feels like to be completely helpless?" It was when the car ran over me that I realized how much she truly hated me. As I opened my eyes again, reborn to the time the house collapsed, I let go of her hand. "Olivia, run." When the load-bearing wall fell, the Olivia in front of me decisively shook off my hand. My steps faltered as I wanted to rush to her, looking at her through the heavy smoke and dust. In my past life, I had pulled her back with all my might, using my body to shield her from the falling debris. The sharp rock struck down, and the extreme pain made me lose my senses momentarily. At that time, I thought I was going to die and used my final strength to whisper in her ear, "Olivia, be happy." Later, when I woke up in the hospital and saw only half of my right leg, I felt a complicated mix of emotions. Realizing I could no longer continue my beloved fencing, I broke down in despair, crying. But when Olivia's mother came to see me, they knelt down, begging me not to cry, saying they'd only get up if I stopped crying. The previously cheerful girl, now at a loss, stood by my side, wiping away my tears with trembling hands. "Then let's get married. I'll take care of you for a lifetime." At that moment, the heavy love momentarily filled the deep chasm within me. I always thought the deep gaze Olivia gave me was love until later, when the tire ran over me, I realized it was sheer hatred. "No, I have to save Kevin. She hasn't come out yet." Olivia's shout interrupted my recollection. She waved her hands, signaling me not to approach her. I looked at her youthful face, remembering 10 years of memories, her accompanying me through countless rehabilitation sessions, her strong arms holding me when I fell. But I also remembered that on our 10th wedding anniversary, she pushed me, with my prosthetic leg removed, into the middle of the road, whispering in my ear, "Then, do you remember what day it is? My Kevin has been gone for 10 years. She had agreed to my confession, and everything was supposed to get better. I want you to feel this sense of helplessness, too." Her voice was filled with such hatred, like a sharp dagger piercing my heart. The speeding car wheels rolled over me, and the bright red blood stained the gift in my clothes, a surprise I had prepared for Olivia on our 10th anniversary. "Don't come near me." Olivia turned and ran upstairs, looking back at me as if she expected me to stop her at all costs. But this time, I wouldn't anymore. Afterward, when the rescue team found me and got me into the vehicle, Olivia and Kevin were nowhere to be found. I didn't know if she met him or if she saved the boy she loved. As I closed my eyes, Olivia's words from my past life echoed in my ears. "Life and death are determined by fate. Why do you think you have the right to interfere with my life and death? I love Kevin. I die for her willingly. What gives you the right to stop me?" My 10 years of first love couldn't compare to their 1 month together. Originally proactive and motivated, she skipped an exam for a word of praise, missing out on all her awards. She said she had never met someone who fit her wishes so perfectly before, yet she never considered if such a flawless person was even possible. The rescue car took us to the hospital for a checkup, where I saw Olivia's mother, who grabbed my hand in distress. "Where's Olivia?" I shook my head. "I didn't know. Weren't you together? How could you not save her?" I was at a loss for words in my past life. Olivia's mother was initially grateful to me, but later, she repeatedly brought up my disability, believing that her daughter's acceptance of me was my blessing. She even secretly tried setting her up with others multiple times. Each time I confronted her, she'd pretend to have a heart condition, and Olivia would shield her and tell me to shut up. She wanted to save someone. I couldn't stop her. I looked at Olivia's mother, not wanting to say anything more. Olivia lost her father early in life, raised solely by her mother, with graduation just around the corner. If anything happened to her, I didn't know if her mother could handle it. How could you let her? How could you watch her die? How can you be so heartless? People began to gather around as Olivia's mother gripped her chest and collapsed on the ground, wailing loudly. My daughter spent so many years with him. I took care of him for so long, and he ran out alone, leaving my daughter inside. Nearby, journalists started setting up cameras to film me, while passers-by lifted their phones, eager to record it all. I could already imagine how many people online, unaware of the full story, would call me ungrateful. But just then, a bloodied stretcher was carried in through the door. Seeing it, Olivia's mother, who had been sitting on the floor, sprang up like a carp. It was Olivia, covered in blood, with bandages tightly wrapped around her missing arm, her flesh barely visible. Are you crazy? Why did you try rescuing someone? If something had happened to you, how would I survive? Her despairing cries echoed throughout the corridor, while Olivia weakly smiled. I saved Kevin. I saved Kevin. I'd do anything as long as Kevin is safe. The faces of people around changed. Kevin, isn't that another boy? Hasn't she been with someone for a long time? Why is there another Kevin? Isn't this emotional blackmail? Only your daughter's life matters, but everyone else's doesn't. As public opinion began to shift, Olivia's mother stopped trying to explain, her face turning pale as she fell back, no longer uttering a word. This time, it wasn't pretend. Medical staff rushed towards them, while I turned and walked into the exam room across the hall, no longer bothering. Everything came back normal from my checkup. When I left the hospital, I heard news about Olivia. They said she survived, but unfortunately, she'd lose an arm and needed an amputation. In this life, fate has switched things around. She's the one who got hurt, and she's the one who saved her loved one. I just hope Kevin can be there for her on the road ahead. I stood outside the ICU, staring at the blinking red light, with images of Kevin's face from a past life flashing in my mind. When the building shook and everyone was running out, Kevin clung to his phone, his tone resolute. Quick, say you love me? Otherwise, I'll die right here. I'm not running. If you don't agree, I'm not living. I've seen him and that film director, Sophie, break up and get back together. I've also heard him scoffingly tell women around him, Olivia, I'm just playing with her. If I'm not serious, how would she know real sorrow? So I tried to stop Olivia. I wanted to help her dodge a disaster she wasn't meant to face. Even if she developed feelings for someone else, even if she harshly pushed me away for someone else. Yet I still cherished our years of friendship. To have a clear conscience, I wanted to pull her out of the mire. But since she's so determined to jump, as she said, it's true that life and death are destined, and wealth and honor lie with fate. It was a month later when I saw Olivia again. Her once prideful right hand for drawing was gone. Her right arm, now just scarred, bundled up and difficult to move. Olivia's mom looked like she'd aged 10 years, her voice having gone hoarse, then recovered, then hoarse again, to the point it couldn't make a sound anymore. I took a bouquet of flowers when I went to welcome her out of the hospital and calmly told her, we're breaking up. Olivia didn't try to stop me because Kevin had visited many times during her recovery. He confessed his love for her, swearing to be with her forever. I guess for both of us, this was a happy ending. After Olivia left, I lingered, lost in thought in her now empty hospital room, the same room I once stayed in during my past life. Back then, I thought Olivia could save me, but now I realize only I could save myself. Thinking I'd see Olivia and Kevin happily together, I was surprised to catch Kevin and Sophie in a tight embrace, kissing passionately. My phone rang suddenly, snapping me out of it. It was my mom calling. When I answered the phone, I glanced down. Olivia was already downstairs, and Sophie was nowhere in sight. Kevin had a bouquet of roses, which she happily took as she ran into Olivia's arms, her face beaming with happiness. Hey, Mom. I answered the call, but my eyes stayed locked on the street below. Olivia had no idea about what just happened. She tried to lean on Kevin, but her missing arm made it hard to embrace him fully. Alex, where did you go? My mom's voice sounded anxious. In a past life, after I lost my leg, it broke her heart, but she never blamed Olivia. She only mentioned in private that she wondered if Olivia, with her deep intentions, was a good choice for me. But Olivia was always so polite to her and always gentle with me. Because of this, I argued with my mom a few times, asking her not to overthink it. After living through it again, I now understand. Instincts born out of love are real. If I had listened to her earlier, maybe things would have turned out differently. Don't worry, Mom. I said goodbye to Olivia. I softened my tone, but at that moment, my body felt electrified. Not far away, someone stood among the flower beds, hands in pockets, looking up at me with a knowing smile. They raised a finger to their lips in a shush gesture, eyes flashing, a warning not to speak out. Frankly, for someone like Kevin, his romantic entanglements aren't surprising. Even in the film department, he stood out. His deep, narrow eyes seemed filled with starlit skies, bewitching anyone he glanced at. Rumor has it that some well-known directors had already offered him scripts, but Kevin declined, saying he wanted to save his debut for Sophie. Sadly, the past life didn't go that way. An earthquake scarred his prized face, ruining his looks. Olivia once left me post-recovery to secretly visit Kevin, but he refused to see her. She always thought the scars kept him from seeing her, and she believed she was desperate to marry me. What she didn't know was that the day Kevin jumped from that building, Sophie posted a photo of her hand interlocked with another man's, looking blissfully happy. I endured 10 grueling years after losing a leg, without feeling the regret Kevin left in her heart. She blamed all her struggles on me, not realizing she meant nothing to him from the beginning. Years ago, in my despair, now I see. How is my loyalty any different from Olivia's determined wishfulness? Back at school, most of it had been rebuilt, with graduation looming. Everyone was sending out resumes. In the past life, Olivia was noticeably outstanding, grabbing HR's attention effortlessly amid the crowd. But now she sat before small, overlooked companies, awkwardly writing her name with her clumsy left hand. Most companies didn't say anything up front, but their sympathetic gazes said it all. Olivia was now feeling the helpless despair I had once experienced. "Alex, I'd like to know your view on balancing career and family," asked the interviewer, holding my resume with curiosity. Single applicants often face such questions, which I understood. I thought back, memories dancing in my head, then spoke firmly. I was born to be a mountain, not a stream. The interviewer looked momentarily stunned, but then smiled warmly and nodded in approval. "All right, Alex, one last question. You chose to be a wheelchair fencing coach. Can you tell us what that means to you?" I felt my hand brush against my right knee under the table, gently rotating my ankle. The feeling of having something lost and regained still lingers in my heart and won't go away. In my past life, I hit so many roadblocks and ended up hating fencing, which I once loved. Every time I saw a competition on TV, I'd go crazy and throw things at the screen. It wasn't until much later, when I was calmer, that I tried to understand wheelchair fencing. The female coach I met handed me a sword and told me that even without legs, I could still fly if I grew wings. Unfortunately, by then, my body had deteriorated too much to pick up my dream again. Now that I have another chance and understand the pain I went through, I want others to find joy in life with me. Faster, higher, further embodies a mindset for me. Physical limitations should never hold anyone back from chasing their dreams. Those were the words my coach told me, and they were a comfort to myself in that difficult time. As the event ended, I saw Olivia and Kevin. She was standing next to him, really striking. "Olivia, don't worry about a job. I'll take care of you," he says. Hearing that familiar conversation made me smile a little. "I'll set you up with a job through some connections. One that's not too hard, but pays well. I don't need your help. I don't believe no company would hire me. Kevin, just give me some time. Trust me." Kevin clearly didn't like Olivia. He was being considerate just to avoid criticism. But a privileged girl like Olivia wasn't one to take handouts from a guy. Even now, she believes she can make it big, but her grades have a glaring stain from skipping an exam to support Kevin in his competition. Adding to that, physical recovery is a slow process. Olivia has lost the head start she had in her previous life. Reaching her former heights now would take monumental effort. I walked past them both without turning my head, but as I passed, I clearly heard Olivia raise her voice. "Kevin, I'll make you happy." Out of the corner of my eye, I saw her turn to hug his waist, with her eyes glancing in my direction. I pretended not to hear, didn't look back, and my mind drifted back to when an 18-year-old girl stood outside my building all night, holding a jar filled with stars. She stammered, telling me, "Alex, we got accepted into the same college. Can we be together? We'd definitely be happy." Closing my eyes, I could still see the floating willows and her sweat-soaked white shirt. After so much effort to be together, we eventually lost the time. Then a sweet voice snapped me back. Linda was coming over, bouncing around and crashing into my arms. "Come be an actor in my graduation show." Linda and I met through a club. She was studying directing and had a well-off family, planning to study abroad after graduation, without the worries most her age have. Her biggest concern now was her graduation project, a short film. I nodded and agreed. Maybe she sensed my mood post-breakup, so she casually stood to my right, blocking Olivia and Kevin from view. Olivia's mom came by school the other day and caused a scene with Kevin, demanding he marry Olivia soon. Anyone would crumble under a mother-in-law like that, she said, watching my reaction carefully. Linda, Olivia and I broke up. I'm not interested in hearing about her anymore. I'm facing major life decisions right now, and there are far more important things than love. I don't want someone who will never be part of my life again to interfere with it. That's my punishment. Linda's project was inspired by a female principal from a mountain village. I was playing a boy pressured by his family to leave school and work in the city. During rehearsals, I noticed we were right next to Sophie's space, where Kevin was starring in her script. The two of them being together all the time caused a stir across half the campus, but due to Sophie's family background, nobody dared to gossip. A company Olivia applied to had shown interest, but suddenly went silent. Left with no choice, she accepted Kevin's recommendation and used connections to land a job. I hear it pays well, Linda noted, but this means she'll be in a position she once despised, due to favoritism. In my past life, she'd be going through rehab, the harshest time, repeatedly accepting her changes and facing her deepest pain. Olivia was getting emotionally unstable and relied on Kevin's company to fill her void, yet Kevin's mind wasn't on her. To stay sharp for the camera, he maintained strict routines, and possibly thanks to basking in romance, he looked even more attractive. During breaks, I often overheard him on the phone, annoyed. I told you I'm busy. The team has a meeting tonight, and I can't go out with you. Sometimes when Olivia came looking for him, he'd make excuses to leave, telling his friends, "Don't let her know I'm here." On Valentine's Day, Olivia came with presents for Kevin, but he was busy rehearsing and didn't even greet her. This sparked her anger in front of everyone. She threw the gift on the ground and coldly challenged, "Kevin, I called you so many times. What are you trying to do in the moment?" Everyone was stunned. Kevin didn't spare a kind word. He always considered himself a hit with the ladies and never took such offense. He snapped back, "Olivia, I'm busy. We normal people have lots to do every day, not like you're so free." He hit hard on the words, normal people, clearly pushing Olivia's buttons. She stood there, almost speechless with anger. "Kevin, do you have a heart? Who am I like this for? Don't you have any shame? I didn't ask you to save me. It was your own decision. Maybe I would have been fine without you. Do you want me to be a thankless servant? Don't forget who got you this job, Olivia. I owe you nothing." Olivia was fuming and anxious. She wanted to point at him, but could only shake her empty sleeve, nearly tripping over a chair. From afar, I looked at Olivia, once praised by teachers as a genius, now standing defeated and humiliated in silence. My heart couldn't bear it, and I looked down. People only understand the value of things after they've lost them. Otherwise, they can't truly feel it. Just like Kevin, who would never realize what he'd be like without Olivia, and like Olivia, who might not have faced her situation if I hadn't intervened back then. So back then, she didn't thank me, just as Kevin doesn't thank her now. That day's rehearsal was disrupted. After everyone left, I stayed to practice. In the short film, I played a martial artist emerging from the mountains, needing to showcase sword skills at the end. But having been reborn, the moves felt unfamiliar, so I kept practicing repeatedly. Eventually, the stage lights went out. While practicing my sword thrusts in the dim light, I noticed a shadowy figure sitting in the audience. "Who's there?" Startled, I nearly dropped my sword. "You're amazing." It was Sophie. She raised an eyebrow, her dark eyes ghostly. "Olivia doesn't deserve you." I thought she was warning me to keep quiet, so I brought up the topic myself. "About you and Kevin, I won't tell anyone." She chuckled softly, her face softening with a hint of intoxication as she moved closer to me. "Kevin isn't right. I want a leading man like you. He's too flattering. You're resilient, like wild grass." I smelled her perfume mixed with alcohol, frowned, and stepped back. She saw herself as a grand artist, and with her unique background, she flirted indiscriminately. Some guys might tolerate this for their own reasons, but I coolly glanced at her and stepped back. "My relationships are my business. They have nothing to do with you." I took off my costume, intending to leave, but Sophie followed and grabbed my sleeve. Alex, has anyone ever told you you're different? If we get together, do you think Olivia would be upset? Would you like to see her try to win you back? I admit, for a moment, I was tempted, but I quickly buried the thought. I don't need a woman's regret or to compare myself to a woman to prove my worth. I'm good enough without anyone highlighting it. I don't want any more ties with Olivia. If you bother me again, I'll spill what I know, which won't benefit you. I coldly took off my costume and left the theater. After that day, Olivia started giving Kevin the cold shoulder. She stopped visiting him at the theater and didn't show up with him at school. She thought it would be punishment for Kevin, but didn't realize it was exactly what he wanted. On my birthday, Linda organized the entire crew to celebrate for me at a restaurant. I received an anonymous text. Alex, happy birthday. I instinctively thought of Olivia. Her first love letter to me at 17 started with the same greeting. But without much hesitation, I deleted it. As we left the restaurant, surrounded by people on the way back to school, I had a little too much to drink. Girls beside me moved to help, but hesitated and pulled back. I noticed, but stayed silent. Under the street lamp, I saw a small, lonely figure. The girl at my side noticed first and walked off quietly. Then Olivia's voice, tightly controlled, but still betraying her emotions. Happy birthday. After this brief exchange, I nodded thanks. She was holding a bunch of ugly paper stars. They weren't well made. Every step she took forward, I took one back. The wind howled, scattering the paper stars. Neither of us bent down to pick them up. I'm going to Beijing to get a prosthetic, she said with a hint of grievance. In our 4 years together, I never missed any of her major events. I was by her side through all her tough times, like when she broke her arm in sophomore year after a bike accident and still brought the birthday cake she made to me. When I rolled up her sleeve, she burst into tears, such a proud person reduced to this before me. But now, in such a hard time, I wouldn't be there for her anymore. Good luck. No hint of a smile crossed my face as I coldly said those words. Alex, why are you so heartless? Can't we at least be friends? People next to me were gazing over, their eyes questioning. I raised my eyes and looked straight at her. Olivia, don't call me that. You don't deserve to. You think it's an old flame rekindling, but really, it's just you wanting some warmth after feeling tossed aside. But you should know, I can't stand even a hint of betrayal. When you insisted on pushing me away, you should have realized we could never be friends. Olivia, don't try to use your so-called deep persona to guilt-trip me. Fate decides life and death, wealth and privilege. That's your choice, so bear it on your own. I gave her a smile, then walked over to join my friends, heading off together into the distance. The days leading up to graduation flew by with all the rehearsals. A month went by without me even noticing. Sophie started giving me expensive gifts every now and then, a luxury brand bracelet or some limited edition shoes. I knew it wasn't love at first sight. She was just playing a game when she was bored. I didn't pay it any mind. Since I got an offer from the provincial team coach, I was starting to coach, planning to train a newly formed fencing team. 3 months from now, we were heading to an important competition. On Kevin's birthday, Olivia suddenly came back, showing up with her mom, now wearing a new prosthetic arm. They clearly planned to come unannounced, hoping to break the ice and surprise Kevin. Olivia's mom said all this to me after everything that's happened. She looked worn out and was strangely gentle towards me. Alex, she's like a child who never grows up, always needing care. You've known her for years. You know she can be impulsive and do reckless things, but she's sentimental at heart. She used to tell other men that after we got married in a previous life, which was pretty obvious what she meant. Hearing it now makes me sick. No one's a perpetual child. She's an adult and should be responsible for her actions. Whether she's sentimental or not isn't my concern. She's got a boyfriend now. Go talk to her. I was about to leave when Olivia's mom stopped me. Listen, I think you're great and worth pairing up with Olivia. Or else, you know, she and her boyfriend are doing pretty well. He's got a job, too. To put it bluntly, if she hadn't lost an arm, you wouldn't even be in the picture. She still spoke proudly about her daughter, clearly unaware of Olivia hooking up connections for work and her arguments with Kevin. Olivia's mom wasn't fond of me, but Kevin seemed too wild for her liking, so she wanted me to take over the mess. I knew how difficult she was from before and wondered how this pampered mom and a rich kid like Kevin would clash. So I wished them success, I guess. Hope they last long and live happily ever after. No need to set me up. I'm not good enough for your precious boy. Olivia's mom let out a cold snort, grabbed her bag angrily, and started to leave. As her hand reached out, I noticed her fingers were clubbed, which meant serious heart issues. I stopped right there, afraid my words would upset her further. Mom, come on, let's find Kevin. As she opened the door, Olivia's voice echoed down the hall, followed by laughter and chatter. I closed the door, knelt down, and quietly tidied up some props. Linda said Olivia booked a big restaurant, so a lot of people from both crews went to join the fun. I wasn't going. I packed up and left every day. I was coaching the provincial team and didn't have time for gossip. But just as I got near the school gate, I saw an ambulance rushing in and a crowd running towards the performance building. Let's hurry. Heard a senior from the drama department got caught cheating by his girlfriend. I later heard the details from Linda. She said a group of people, eagerly flinging open the dressing room door with Olivia and her mom, only found Kevin and Sophie in disarray, wrapped in each other's arms with dramatic expressions. The two were so lost in each other, like they didn't know the world existed. Olivia was so shocked she just stood there frozen, unable to say a word. Her mom, furious, turned white before lunging at Kevin, attempting to pull her hair and hit her, but Kevin kicked her in the chest, knocking her to the ground. Olivia tried to help and ended up scuffling with Sophie. Everything got captured by someone filming the whole thing as a potential surprise. I waved off Linda, indicating I didn't want to hear more, but she continued. It wasn't over. During the brawl, someone pushed Olivia, causing her to fall, and there was a pool of blood. I was stunned, choking on a sip of water. Turned out Olivia was 3 months pregnant, and just like that, she lost the baby. The aftermath was still a mystery, considering she and Kevin hadn't been together that long. I wondered what Kevin would feel upon knowing this. Olivia's mom ended up in the hospital too. Word was she had a heart attack and was nearly gone but was rushed to the ICU. Alex, you're lucky. Breaking up with Olivia was a blessing in disguise. You don't need to get involved in that mess. You have such good fortune. Olivia only did well with you around. Too bad she didn't appreciate it. She got what she deserved. Linda continued animatedly, her words a bit harsh, but I knew she was genuinely upset for me. All right, Linda, let's not talk about Olivia anymore. She's just someone I've known a while here. Let me show you one of the girls on my team. Look how well she executes the moves. I grabbed my phone, and on the screen was a girl who'd lost her legs to polio. She held a sword high and took her opponent down with one swift move. Before she started training, she almost gave in to her parents and married a deaf-mute man she'd never met. But this skill gave her the courage to say no to the family bullying her. Alex, you're amazing. Linda watched with teary eyes and hugged me tightly. When I become a director, I'm definitely turning your story into a movie. The graduation assessment came as scheduled. Linda's short film was a success. At the end, a group of girls held hands and loudly recited, "I am a mountain." In that chorus of voices, I put on my fencing gear and demonstrated my skills on stage. I wanted to look down from the highest peaks, rising gracefully above the mediocre valleys. In the flaring hem of my coat, I seemed to see speeding cars and a person in a wheelchair, lost and helpless, with tears in her eyes, whispering in despair, "Help me. Can anyone help me?" Across that impossible-to-reach realm, I answered her, "I can save you. I will save you." So the traffic ceased its noise, and I grew legs, standing again, pulling myself to safety through the swirling dust. In this new life, I promised to cherish myself. Thunderous applause erupted from the audience. I spotted Olivia crying uncontrollably in the crowd. The first to present flowers was Sophie, carrying a bouquet so big it nearly hid her entirely. She walked up to me. "Alex, you did great today." In bright letters, the center of that bouquet read, "Alex, I like you." But I didn't take it. In the end, Linda, as the organizer, accepted the flowers on my behalf and politely responded, "Thank you for your support." While packing in the backstage, a figure stood in the doorway, looking straight at me. I turned. It was Olivia. She struggled over, opening her arms. "Alex, we're graduating. Can I have a hug?" We both knew this was likely our last chance to meet. Seeing her mechanical arm peek from her sleeve, I softened a bit. "Alex, be happy." Her voice choked up. In this new life, the phrase had become hers to say to me. Fate's twists are indeed curious. If only when I rushed in, You'd reached out to pull me back. Maybe I'd have realized my mistakes. Alex, I'm sorry I was wrong. Olivia's lips quivered, and her tears fell as she bowed her head. I laughed. Olivia, someone who can't own up to their actions is a coward. If you didn't regret it, I'd have a shred more respect for you. You don't need my forgiveness. I'm not important to you, just as you're not to me. Never seeing each other again is a blessing for both. I finished packing and left the performance room. This time, all my dark past should finally be over. After leaving school, I rarely paid attention to those people's news. Even when Linda told me about Olivia's mom's near-fatal complication during surgery, or Kevin's parents causing a scene at Olivia's house, or Olivia borrowing money for surgery after losing her job. Only Sophie kept messaging me nonstop, telling me she'd broken up with Kevin and asking if I wanted to be the male lead in her movie. I never replied. To me, women who rely on money and power to force others aren't appealing at all. I was busy coaching my team for a competition, exhausted every day with the competition 10 days away. I was taking the team to the venue. Adaptive sports demand more time to adjust, so I worried about potential mishaps. The night we arrived at the hotel, Linda suddenly called me. Alex, did you see the trending? Her voice was urgent. She hung up and sent me a video. In it, the clip showed Olivia's mother yelling at me in the hospital on the day of the earthquake. The video was cropped, ending right when Olivia's mom accused me of not saving her. My indifferent expression was edited into memes, with text saying, "Not my problem whether she lives or dies." My identity was exposed along with my entire team. Commenters unaware of the truth reacted aggressively. If she can't save those close to her, how can she be expected to care for disabled people? Is she doing it on purpose since she's a para-athletics coach and wants more disabled people? Cancel her team's entry. Does a coach like her deserve a place in the competition? The attacks extended from me to the whole team and then to its members. Did you piss someone off? Why is the video so perfectly timed to target you? Linda's words brought me back to my senses. I found the original video online and spotted a familiar profile among the shares, Sophie, using the same profile picture she had when she posted something that made Kevin lose it. It's Sophie, I said, a shiver running down my spine. Given Sophie's influential background, her manipulating public opinion this way had an obvious aim. In my frustration, a strange number called. Alex, did you see the trending topic? Despite the voice changer, I recognized Sophie's voice. What do you want? Drop your coaching role and join my team. Otherwise, it's not just your reputation at stake. I can make sure your whole team can't compete. After a long silence, I sat alone in the dark room, lost in thought. Sophie had always been ruthless. If I didn't agree, I couldn't imagine the mess she might unleash. This was a critical time for the team. I didn't want my personal issues to derail the competition everyone had worked so hard for. But I also cared about my career. I'd looked forward to this project and believed in my ability to handle it. I didn't want to give up so easily. Alex, have you thought about where the video came from? Linda's words snapped me back. I tried to recall. The scene was hazy, but besides Olivia and her mom, I didn't remember anyone else who knew me there. This had happened years ago. Unless someone close had deliberately leaked it, it wouldn't have been used as a threat. So who could it be? After a moment, I dialed Olivia's number. She answered urgently. It wasn't me who released the video. Her rushed denial only made me more suspicious. It was your mom, right? My heart skipped a beat as I asked. When she didn't answer immediately, I knew the truth. Alex, I'm sorry. She's already like this. I can't blame her anymore. I'm willing to take responsibility for everything. I'll go explain, clear everything up, okay? I let out a cold laugh. In what position could she explain, and how would she prove herself? Waiting for her explanation might lead to ruinous consequences. The full video, can you find it right now? Releasing it with Olivia's explanation was probably the quickest way to end the online drama. Sophie bought the video. She paid for all our surgery fees, so I guess only she has the right to publicly release it now. I used to like Olivia's voice, but now it felt distant. My phone slipped from my palm and hit the floor. The provincial team urgently contacted my supervisor, and the head coach called me. I picked up, expecting a reprimand, but the voice was surprisingly gentle. Alex, don't worry, we're trying to figure it out. I couldn't help but recall standing in the interview, saying, physical limitations shouldn't bind the pursuit of dreams. My team had been through so much. Many saw this competition as their only shot. If they didn't win and make it to nationals, their dreams would end. This wasn't just my dream, it was theirs. Could I really let Sophie ruin it? Sister Xiaoyu, blame it on me instead. I'll resign as coach so the kids can compete. Once it's over, we'll find a way. But I knew compromising would stain my career, a stain hard to erase. My girls had used all their courage to get here. I couldn't be their roadblock. I packed quickly and called Linda. Linda, where are you? I'm coming over. But before I could finish, she screamed. Alex, look at the trending topics. The tables turned. News that the full video was released quickly hit the top of the local list. It showed Olivia in tears explaining herself, with the unfriendly crowd also on display. Soon after, interest swerved to the connection between her and the mysterious Kevin. Within half an hour, the topic was wiped from trending, replaced by dull entertainment news. I didn't believe for a second there wasn't someone pulling strings. Once Kevin's real identity came out, finding Sophie would be easy. I figured Sophie wanted to avoid more drama, but who had released the video to foil her plan? I wasn't sure. After the storm, Sophie never reached out again. The competition preparation continued, the incident feeling like a blip. The process went smoothly, and my team did fantastically, clinching the top 3 spots in all provincial competition categories. In the flashing lights, the girls bloomed with smiles, pushing their wheelchairs and embracing tightly. Due to the pre-match drama, the competition gained more attention. The girl from the mountains won, and ad agencies promised to cover all her training costs. Amid the cheers, I got a phone call. The moment I answered, an unexpected voice greeted me. Alex, you're incredible. That voice was distant but familiar, instantly pulling me back to another life. A dim hospital room, the TV airing a live news report. I had insomnia then, on the verge of breakdown. One evening, listening to the soft, resolute female reporter narrate, I found rare peace. Her voice became my nightly lullaby during those tough times, until one day, news broke. A reporter covering post-disaster zones had fallen from the 17th floor, allegedly overwhelmed by what she'd seen, taking her own life. The program replayed her interviews, each time her encouraging others to stay strong. I didn't know what led to her end, but overnight, the story felt wrong. Hearing her voice again, I teared up. We agreed to meet at a cafe. Did you release the full video? The person in front of me was Wendy, her round face matching the image I remembered from behind the camera. On the day Olivia's mom accosted me, Winnie had been there. I was relieved that in this life, such a tragedy hadn't befallen her. It was me, she said, her voice still lovely, gentle as a stream. Why'd you help me? If Sophie could use evidence to threaten me, she'd surely keep key evidence. Wendy, a reporter, could have exchanged it for Sophie's media connections or resources. Even if not, why risk offending Sophie to help me? My daughter is paralyzed. She lowered her head, eyes reddening. On the day of the earthquake, we planned to go to the park, but I had to work, leaving her and my husband at home. Later, she was crushed under a pillar and lost her legs. And your husband? She gave a faint smile. He was with someone else at a hotel downstairs, something I found out later. An image of her from a past life, falling at that same hospital, flashed in my mind. I guessed it was where her daughter was treated. My daughter loved dancing. Her teacher said she had talent and wanted to recommend her to the best dance school. Her voice choked. She was so young. How could she handle this? She resisted treatment, stayed in a bad state. Until then, she looked up at me. During post-earthquake reconstruction, I participated in your school's fall recruitment and heard what you said. I shared your words with my daughter and found wheelchair fencing videos for her. That night, she cried for a long time. The next morning, she told me, Mom, I can dance even in a wheelchair. She also gave me a farewell letter she'd written. I looked at her, surprised. If it weren't for you, she might have died. If she wasn't around, I wouldn't know where to find the courage to live. Black and white photos from the past flashed, leaving me realizing how many unseen events had unfolded, an ending I never imagined. Sophie contacted me, offering a fortune for the video, but I told her the camera malfunctioned and I didn't record it. Her daughter needed expensive treatment, and she was in a divorce battle. She needed money, but she never mentioned it. If it weren't for you, I don't know what I would have become. She looked me in the eye, speaking firmly. I once blamed myself, thinking I wasn't good enough to keep my husband, leading to my daughter's tragedy. But you said it right. We are like mountains, not streams. Why stop because of small obstacles? What I should do is make her pay the price. If your story needs a savior with a twist ending, I hope she's a woman. We aren't always fools fighting over men. Our swords can point to those who are cowards. She left after saying this. When entertainment news exploded, I was at the fencing team's celebration party. This time, Sophie hit the headlines. Exposed was explosive news from Kevin's birthday. The video showed two people parting hastily, disheveled, with Olivia looking bewildered, holding a gift. The relationship between the three was dissected, escalating into public outcry. I don't know how Wendy got the video from Sophie's close friends, but I know traitors are ultimately betrayed, and those who gather for profit disperse when profits end. Karma comes full circle. Kevin's budding career plummeted. Netizens compared him to the boy in the video. It took time to recognize him. Only after seeing recent photos did I realize the once handsome boy had lost his vitality. With no turning point, his manager revealed that after the breakup, Kevin had undergone cosmetic surgeries like a madman, failing multiple times and losing his natural looks. In his early 20s, his face was stiff. Without that face, he became a pariah, infamous. Even his casual words to a friend leaked. Olivia? I'm just playing with her. If I don't push boundaries, how would Sophie feel hurt? I didn't know if Olivia followed entertainment news or how she'd feel hearing the audio. The whole thing ended with Sophie's investors exposed for tax evasion. The self-righteous bigwig had multiple affairs, and evidence was provided by his former wife. The law awaited him. We'll continue following developments. This is your reporter, Wendy, signing off. At the end of the news, a familiar voice filled my ears. The woman's eyebrows slightly curved, tone light yet relieved. Years later, I saw Linda again. She'd studied abroad to avoid family marriage pressure, improved her acting, and unintentionally become a prominent director. She found me, saying the movie based on my life was in the works. Their class had produced many talented directors, but the once famous Sophie had tragically fallen off the grid, her whereabouts unknown in the circle, now completely forgotten. Linda asked if there were any lines I wanted kept. I wrote one for her. Many years ago, someone despairing told me, life and death are destined, wealth is by fate. But what I want to tell you is, as long as you don't give in, there can be a destiny where it's my fate in my hands, not left to heaven. I told Linda I wanted to photograph my first group of students as prototypes. The once dark and skinny girl had become a Paralympic champion, sending me a competition photo every year. The girl in the picture had shed her awkwardness, beaming confidently, a beauty rivaling anyone, fueled by thriving vitality. I've had many students over the years, and Linda invited most to participate. These girls say I'm a savior, that I rescued those who gave up on themselves. I've surprisingly empathized, giving many the courage to embrace life. But no one knows my initial wish was simply to save myself. Yet during late-night awakenings, I hear the words of that person in the wheelchair. I am one among millions. When someone tries to save themselves, to love themselves, they emit a courage even they couldn't anticipate. This strength is what the world truly needs, giving the greatest value to becoming the protagonist of your own story. And I'm grateful that this time, I got to be the main character in my own world.